In this episode, we talk about the findings of the Annual Status of Education Report of 2023. We also talk about a new scheme announced by PM Modi after the Ram Mandir consecration ceremony in Ayodhya. But first, we talk about a recent tragedy in Gujarat. Hi, I am NIharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Last week, 12 school children and 2 of their teachers died after a boat capsized in Harni Lake, which is located in Vadodara. Nearly all the victims of this unfortunate incident were between 10 to 13 years of age. The police later found out that while the boat had a capacity to carry 16 passengers, at the time of the incident, there were about 34 occupants on board. The National Disaster Relief Force team deployed after the incident were able to rescue about 18 students and 2 teachers. Soon after the incident, an FIR was lodged against Kotia Projects, a private company that was running the boating facility at Harni Lake. So far, at least 20 people have been booked and 6 arrested in connection with the incident. In this segment, the Indian Express's Aditi Raja joins us to talk about the incident and the findings of the investigation so far. So Aditi, what does the primary investigation of the police say and how did the tragedy take place?
So this tragedy occurred on Thursday, January 18, when a school picnic from New Sunrise School in Vadodara was at Harni Lake. This is the Motnath Lake in Harni, which has a fun arena and a boating zone under a public-private partnership model with the VMC, that is the Vadodara Municipal Corporation. The tragedy struck at around 4:45 p.m. when the last round of students were to go on a boating trip. The primary investigation has revealed that 34 persons were made to sit in a boat that had a capacity of about 14. And at least 14 of them did not have life jackets, which is why they were not able to even stay afloat when the boat overturned. The Vadodara City Police has formed a special investigation team to probe into the incident and arrest the 13 accused that are still at large. Commissioner of Police of Vadodara, Anupam Singh Gehlot, clearly has said, that the primary investigation reveals a very visible negligence as the boat was overloaded and there were no life jackets. There were no lifeguards. In fact, in a press conference held on Saturday, the Commissioner of Police also said that the helpers appointed on the boat did not even know swimming. The only qualification of the person running the boat was that he knew swimming and he could operate the machine. So there is definitely a gross negligence on the part of the operator running the boats. And it's now a matter of investigation to see who all were involved in allowing these safety precautions to be neglected while running this boating facility.
Right. And Aditi, who are the main accused in the case right now?
So the police has booked a total of 20 accused now, 18 of whom were booked on the evening of the mishap itself because the FIR was lodged while the rescue operations were going on. The complainant in the FIR is a VMC executive engineer of the futuristic planning cell that is looking after the renovations and rejuvenations of the lakes in the city. The first 18 persons who were booked by the police were partners of the Messrs. Kotia Projects company that was awarded the contract by the VMC to renovate the lake and run the lake zone in 2016. The police later learned that one of the 18 accused, named Hitesh Kotia, had passed away during the COVID-19 pandemic. On Saturday, the police also booked 2 other persons, Paresh Shah and Nilesh Jain, who were not directors and partners in the company but were managing the day-to-day affairs of the lake zone. 3 family members of Paresh Shah, including his wife, son and daughter, are directors in the company, while Nilesh Jain was said to be given a subcontract by Kotia Projects to run the boating service. Now, Jain basically runs a company named Dolphin Entertainment according to the police, and all of them are yet to be arrested. The 6 people who have been arrested so far are employees and 3 partners. 3 partners have been arrested and 3 employees, one the manager of the lake zone and 2 persons who were on the boat at that time, one of whom was the person operating the boat.
You mentioned that Kotia, the company that was running the boating facility, was awarded the contract by VMC, the Vadodara Municipal Corporation. On what basis was this contract given to them?
So, although it is a complainant in the case so far, the VMC's liability in this accident cannot be overlooked. It has awarded the contract in 2016, but that comes in a second attempt by the company, because as per the details shared by the civic body itself, the developer, Messrs. Kotia Projects, was initially disqualified by the VMC in 2015 as the firm primarily manufactured dry snack items, and had no prior experience with running or setting up such leisure infrastructure projects. So, as per the VMC's records, on October 20, 2015, the VMC's futuristic planning cell had floated an expression of interest for the redevelopment of the Harni Lake on a public private partnership basis. Two firms had initially bid for the contract, including Kotia. The two firms did not qualify. The reason cited at that time was that Kotia had failed to clear the pre qualification stage, and the firm was just newly formed. It had zero turnover and no previous experience in the area. It had not even submitted any tax documents. When we spoke to the Municipal Commissioner Dilip Rana, he told us that the company came back when the retendering had happened, and at that time it had submitted documents that were fit enough for it to qualify. Now, how did this happen? It happened because in the second round, the developer had returned as a joint venture with another firm for the work of development of the lake and submitted the required documents. Now, this other firm with whom they had a joint venture was run by Gopal Das Shah. This person is a former town development officer of the Vadodara Municipal Corporation who is said to have been terminated earlier in the past. He's an architect and he had the requisite, eligibility to develop this lake zone. And therefore, once they were in a joint venture, Kotia Projects automatically became qualified to pass the initial stage. The proposal of the VMC in the standing committee in September 2016 and thereafter in the general board a few days later in the same month were cleared, and they awarded the contract, also giving away a parcel of land of about 5,686 square meters worth approximately 17 crores for a rent of 1 rupee for 13 years to this company. Now, this is the land where they created this fun zone apart from setting up the boating facility in the lake itself.
And Aditi, what is the VMC's role in all of this? Can they be held accountable?
So, as far as VMC's liability is concerned, although it is a complainant in the case and it claims that it was completely the responsibility of the company to make sure that everything was running fine and to take the safety precautions, there is definitely a void in this explanation as there are no checks that the VMC has conducted. The VMC was definitely supposed to conduct inspections and checks. According to the Municipal Commissioner of the VMC, the fire department has conducted regular checks, but that would only be for the NOC regarding the fire safety measures. However, the Commissioner also said that the futuristic planning cell had conducted an inspection somewhere in 2022 and also issued a notice. We don't have details of the same because the civic body has not come forth to share if they had found something was missing or something had to be done to improve the safety standards. So one cannot completely discount the fact that the civic body was lax about the safety in this particular lake. Also, the subletting of the contract by Kotia to another company running the boating facility without checking whether they were eligible, trained, no lifeguards present at the spot, knowing that a school picnic was happening in the lake zone. So there are a lot of questions, and I think as the investigation progresses, the police will look into these angles as well.
And what about the school? What have they said about the incident, and has their role in this whole thing been investigated by the police?
So the trustees of the school have maintained that, they are extremely heartbroken, and they have even given media statements where they have broken down while speaking about the incident and losing children and two teachers belonging to the school. The police right now has only just begun the investigation and primarily is focusing on the contract and its partners, and, is still trying to ascertain who all should be liable for this. As far as the role of the school is concerned, there are obviously unanswered questions. Why did the teachers accompanying the students agree to get into a boat that was overloaded? Why did they agree to get into a boat without life jackets for themselves and the children? they have also lost their lives. So one cannot completely overlook the fact that there was definitely something that was not right in the decisions taken by the teachers at the spot as well, because they could have put their foot down and said, maybe we don't want to go into it. The trustees as of now have said that surviving teachers have come back and told them that they were forced to get into the boat. Now that is again a matter of investigation. When we asked the Commissioner of Police, Anupam Singh Gehlot, told us that it appears that it was the last trip of the day, and those many children were yet to take the boating trip, and it is possible that that was the reason why there was this hurry to take everybody on a single round.
Right. And like with most of the incidents of this kind, there has also been some kind of a political backlash. What has the opposition had to say about the incident and the VMC's handling of it?
So, opposition leaders of the VMC from the Congress were also at the spot during the rescue operations. Every single person was at the spot during the rescue operations. And the opposition has obviously blamed the VMC for, giving out these contracts to people who are their own friends, or, for benefits for other vested interests. There are allegations of corruption. So Congress's Ami Rawat, who's the opposition leader in the VMC right now, and was also a corporator back then, had demanded a vigilance inquiry against the project right in 2016. She had in fact written a letter stating that this contract should not be approved because it was going to be financially also damaging to the VMC, since the contractor was going to pay the VMC only 3 lakh rupees per annum, and get a property worth 17 crores, and which would barely have any scrap value after 30 years of the lease period. So obviously the safety lapse that resulted in this mishap has brought a huge backlash from the opposition. MLAs of the Gujarat Assembly from the Congress also visited the affected victims. There is definitely a lot of political pressure on the government to probe this case, to actually hold those people who are liable. We have to now see how the probe progresses, because there is also a PIL that has been filed by the victims of the Morbi Bridge tragedy in this particular case in the Supreme Court, seeking justice and seeking a proper probe into the incident, and, directions to the government to avoid such accidents in the future.
And next, we talk about India's flagship National Education Survey, the results of which were released last week. The Annual Status of Education Report Survey, also called ASER, is the oldest survey of its kind in the country and is conducted by Pratham Education Foundation. This survey provides a wide range of insights into levels of learning among young children, including information about their foundational reading and arithmetic skills. The latest survey was conducted in 28 districts across 26 states, involving a little over 34,000 children in the age group of 14 to 18 years. One rural district was surveyed in each state, with an exception of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, where 2 rural districts were surveyed each. The findings of the report show a significant skill deficit among adolescents, many of whom are only a few years away from becoming earning members of the society. To gain a deeper understanding of the report's findings, we have Indian Express's Radhika joining us in this segment. So Radhika, can you begin with sharing the highlights of the ASER 2023 report with us?
So the ASER 2023 report this time was carried out among more than 34,000 young respondents in 28 rural districts in 26 states. Okay. And this is called Beyond Basics because they're looking at skills that goes beyond basics. And the current report basically focuses on a key demographic dividend, which is 14 to 18-year-old in rural area. And the last such survey was done in 2017 when 14 and 18-year-olds were covered by ASER. According to the new report, we have one good news and a plenty of bad ones. Basically, the good news is that more and more children in India are continuing in schools more than before. So overall, 86.8% of 14 to 18-year-olds are enrolled in educational institutions. This is both school and college. And this time the report also looked at the activities that India's youth is currently engaged in. And it looks at basic and applied reading and math ability, as well as the digital awareness and skills of the youth. And It also looked at the streams in which students are enrolled in, basically arts, humanities, and commerce. And it finds that most of the students, that is 54%, are enrolled in arts stream.
And can you talk about what the report says about readability? Because that has always been, a challenge in the country.
The stats actually are a little worrying when it comes to readability. One of the glaring findings of this report is about the foundational skills of the students, basically 14 to 18-year-old youth. And it shows that about a fourth of those who were surveyed were found it very difficult to read a grade 2 level text in local language. And among those who were surveyed, more than half of them were struggling with arithmetic skills, basic mathematic problems, that they should have been proficient by grade 5. And about 25% of this age group is still not able to read class 2 level books. And a little over half of this youth is able to read English, that is 57.3%. And of those who can read English, almost three quarters, that is 73.5%, were able to tell the meaning of what they're reading. And these are simple sentences in English, like this is a ball, that is a cat, very simple sentences. And when the last such survey was done in 2017, 76.6%, almost 77% of this particular age group, 14 to 18-year-old, were able to read standard 2 level text. And in 2023, it is just over 73.6. So there is a drop.
And we also need to talk about the fact that these students are also the ones who studied through a pandemic. What kind of a change has that brought along?
First thing I wanted to point out that it was a common concern that during the pandemic, a lot of these students would drop out. I mean, the percentage of students dropping out might increase was the concern, but that hasn't happened. And it also coincides with the fact that a lot of these students have started using smartphones. I mean, the usage of smartphones, according to the survey, has increased significantly, and 90% of the youth that was surveyed have reported that they are able to use smartphone and they know how to use it. And among the youth who could use smartphones, two-thirds reported that they use it for education-related purposes. And when I say education purpose, it means watching online videos related to studies, solving doubts, or even exchanging notes. And a quarter of the people who are not enrolled in educational institutes are also using smartphones for education related things.
And we know that basic mathematics skills are not just a necessity for work but also in daily life. So, what does the ASER report tell us about the basic arithmetic skills of these students?
So, even if the youth is staying longer in schools and colleges, there is a mismatch in the foundational skills of, and even readability, arithmetic. All these skills are still not matching to the level that they are studying in. For example, class 12 student would not be able to do a class 3 division problems. So in arithmetic in 2017, 39.5% youth was able to do simple class 3 or 4 level division problems. And this year's report says that the proportion is just slightly higher at 43.3%. Overall, close to 50% youth is unable to do common calculations such as calculating time and adding weights and applying the unitary method. And of the youth who can do subtraction, over 60 are able to do budget tasks, functional mathematics like budget tasks, and 37% can apply discount, and only 10% can calculate repayment. And also, there's a gender gap in this whole thing that men are doing better than women.
Right. And Radhika, as far as the male to female ratio is concerned, what difference do we see along those lines?
Across all the enrollment categories, the survey finds that females, that is 76%, did better than men. There was almost 71% who could read a class 2 level regional language text. And in contrast to that, male surveyed youth did better than female counterparts in everything else, arithmetic and English reading. So, another significant finding of the report shows that I mean, when you look overall, the usage of smartphone looks as if both male and female have access to smartphones. But when you look closely, the technical know-how of how smartphones should be used, I mean, smartphones are used, male students had more access as compared to female. And male students were able to do proficient in doing practical tasks like making reservation or paying a bill online. So the report showed us that 38% males use smartphones for online services, while only 19% females were able to do so. And even for entertainment, the percentage of male is higher at 69% compared to just 46% female. And it kind of indicates that girls and young women have far less access to smartphones than their male counterparts. ASER did assign a few simple tasks to this youth and to find out who does better. So, across all phone related tasks assigned to the respondent, boys outperformed girls in every aspect.
Also, what was the distribution like as far as the streams, that is, commerce, science, arts, or humanities, are concerned?
So the report says that most of the surveyed youth in this age group are enrolled in arts and humanities streams. And when it comes to class 11 or higher, more than half are enrolled in arts and humanities stream, and followed by STEM stream, the STEM and commerce. And the report says that female students are less likely to be enrolled in the STEM stream, and by STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And more male students reportedly join STEM stream. So when it comes to males, 36.3% of the male students are enrolled in STEM stream.
And Radhika, could you share what ASER Center Director Vilima Vadva said about the findings of the survey?
Since the pandemic, we see that even the report's finding shows us that the smartphone use has doubled actually from pre-pandemic time. The proportion of rural households with a smartphone almost doubled during the pandemic. To be precise, 67.6%, and it has further increased to 74.8% in 2022. So she mentioned that the digital divide between the rural and urban areas is narrowing, which is also giving rise to a digital dividend. And we are at a position, and according to her, India is the third largest economy, and we are in a position to exploit, make use of this digital dividend and this key demographic that is 14 to 18-year-old youth. And it is very important, according to her, that, I mean, she's mentioned that the quality of labor force has to keep pace with our development needs. She also mentioned that we are at a position that we can only reap the demographic dividend associated with young population if our youth are well supported to achieve their aspirations and participate productively in the growth process of the economy.
And in the end, we talk about the announcement of a new scheme by PM Modi. Hours after presiding over the Ram Mandir consecration ceremony in Ayodhya, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday evening illuminated diyas in his residence in Delhi, marking an early Diwali celebration. This came shortly after he led the Pran Pratishtha ceremony of Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh. The act of lighting diyas was a symbolic recreation of how Lord Ram's subjects welcomed his return after his 14-year exile. Prime Minister Modi also announced the launch of Pradhanmantri Suryodaya Yojana, an initiative aimed at installing rooftop solar systems on 1 crore households across India. Taking to X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, quote, "All the devotees of the world always get energy from the light of Suryavanshi Lord Sri Ram. Today, on the auspicious occasion of consecration in Ayodhya, my resolution got further strengthened that people of India should have their own solar rooftop system on the roof of their houses." Unquote. He also expressed his conviction that this move will not only alleviate the financial burden on the poor and the middle class, but also propel India towards self-reliance in the energy sector. The Ram Temple consecration ceremony sparked religious enthusiasm nationwide, leading to many states declaring a holiday on Monday. Stock markets remain closed and homes and businesses adorned themselves with lights, responding to PM Modi's call to mark this day as another Diwali. You were listening to Three Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank Bhargav, Rahul Philippos and me, NIharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it and share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.